Welcome, greetings, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Straight Up Integrity Real Talk channel. I'm your host, Lamar. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to have a great conversation. Deployment of masculinity. Deployment of masculinity. The Bible says to train up a child in the ways that they should go. When they become old, they will not depart from it. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. Wives, submit unto your husbands with all subjection in sobriety, that the word may not be blasphemed. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right, and this is your days, that your days on this earth may be many, may be multiplied. That means we have all been given a direct order and a great commission and a command how to govern ourselves. And family and marriage is before children. Marriage is before anything else that we are doing. Marriage is before everything else. Before children, before hooking up, before living together. Marriage is the foundation of everything. And this is something that the modern church is fighting against, making folks comfortable. Marriage is the foundation of anything. That marriage must be established on the foundation of God. If it's not built on them, if you're marrying, hooking up just for it, it's not going to last. It's not going to stand because it's not built on the rock. Let's get that established. I'm laying the foundation of this right now. God said the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. So he is the foundation of the family. When the wife marries her husband, she takes his last name. That means he is her covering. She becomes his. They become one, but she becomes his wife. She becomes his wife. She is his bride. The husband's name and his legacy she carries out. Whatever a man gives his wife, she carries it out through the children. Whatever lessons and taught things that are system, order, and structure that is given to her by her husband, she carries it out to the children. Whatever is given to this is what we got to understand, brothers. This is now I'm going to talk to you, the men. Whatever you give your woman is carried out through her. You give her insecurity, you give her abuse, you give her self-hate because you hate yourself. And whatever you contain in yourself, brothers, you will translate that to your woman and she will carry it out. I got to deal with you men first. I got to talk to the brothers first. When you have been raised in a broken family, you have to learn to become fixed in God's family. You got to learn order. You got to learn system, order, and structure in a healthy way. There's a reason why Christian feminism has arose and it's gotten so erotic in the culture of feminism is because when men had the authority, they abused their authority, mishandled their authority, didn't hold it up with integrity and love. And therefore the women have rebelled against the abuse of the authority that they had. This is what has created the feminist movement. And we got to keep it real. This was way before the 70s. This was way back in the time of Queen Vashti. When the king called out to her in the scriptures and she refused to come out and the other women rallied with her. Feminism started way in the scriptures. We have to talk about order. The husband has to be under God's order to give order to the family, and then the order is influenced out. Women are the influencers, men are the foundationers. They set order and foundation. Women carry it out through the family. Legacy is carried out through the wife, through the bride. And the children have to submit to that order and conform. Foundation, carry out, and conform. What we have today is four things. You have men that are not standing in their place, that are behaving like boys, trying to have families, raise children, raising children. You have absent fathers that are not around for whatever reason. You have masculine women in the home that won't let a man stand in his place, and she only wants effeminate men to be around, because that's the only kind of men she can control and wield, and she only feels safe under the guise of what she can control, because when she grew up, everything that was around her abused her, so she doesn't trust masculine male leadership. Then you've got women that are good women, and they're just doing the best they can, and they're just single women and don't have a father around. So when you have that four dynamic, you have the enemy has a door to creep in. And I'm laying all this groundwork so we can understand, and then I'm going to cook later on. I'm going to cook in a minute. So when you have these four problems, let me say it again. Fathers that are lazy and abusive and not taking care of their families, sexually abused, mentally or verbal, absent father, or you have no fathers in the home. You have a masculine woman that has got a man there, but she controls everything, and you have good single mothers or women that have children, and they just don't have the masculine counterweight to balance the children so they can see a father. So you have these four elements. And with these women, you see most of these types of women in church. You see these types of women in beauty salons, and they only trust men that worship women or pander to women, or they trust women that feel the way they do, hurt, angry, bitter, abused women, and they all come together in church and go around, and all they do is come to church to relate to each other. Nobody's getting healed. Nobody's getting changed. They sit around and talk about what's wrong with men and how men need to be better, but they haven't gotten better. And these are the sort that creep into the houses of silly women. These preachers that are preaching to the women, telling them what they want to hear, and telling them that they need to do this and men need to do that, because they had no strong masculine women or strong masculine men in the home, healthy men that love them, would love Christ, to show them what that looks like. They don't trust male masculine leadership. They trust feminine masculine leadership. Because you can be a woman and be masculine. But I'm talking about God's order of masculinity, the diplomacy of no men, healthy men, masculine ministry, straight men, masculinity is being deployed. And these children, daughters and sons, are not getting healthy masculine impartation in the home, so they grow up only revering women and only trusting what women say, because that's the only thing that all the society is revering is women. And we don't want women and men to say nothing. And men have been socially, verbally paralyzed to express what needs to be done, so they die in quiet, in silence, because they know they're going to get a bigger fight if they come against what the norms are of feminine, of women empowerment and women reverement over God's order. God said the man is the head of the woman, as Christ is the head of the church. I'm preaching and talking to the church. This is what we got in this hour today. We don't have strong masculine men speaking in the pulpits no more. Look at all these new age podcast platforms we have now. This is the money market today now. Tell women what they want to hear. Let them be happy when you got they still don't have husbands. Their children still don't have fathers. And the type of men they have are docile and weak, And they can't do much but do what the woman say do, because she's smarter, she's more intelligent, she got a degree, she bought her own house with her own money, she don't need no man, which is a lie. You don't need any man, but you need a man. I've said this before in my previous video. And if you didn't need a man, why are these dating apps so prominent? Why are you looking for something you don't think you need? When God said that it's not good for man to be alone. It's not good for women to be alone. We need each other. Men need we need our women. We will get rigid and hard. That's what's happened to the women. They'll get rigid and hard. And when they don't have no support system to carry them on and to sustain them, they get rigid and hard. What love nurtures and cares. Fathers have a way of expressing how they love by providing and taking care of and seeing after the people they love. And it's more than just finances. You podcast pimps out here preaching to the women and telling them it's all about money. You could be a drug dealer and have money. You could be crooked out here lying and stealing and being a criminal or a burglar and have money. That don't make you a man. Certainly not a man of valor or a man of God. But it sounds really good. These kids are growing up, especially these boys, because women are more revered than men. They want to get gay and homosexual because women seem to be the thing to be now. And because they didn't have no identity of a masculine, healthy father, be it that he wasn't there or the example he had in front of him was not a healthy one, he reveres back to mama. And you dudes that are preaching about being masculine, let me break masculinity down to y'all. Masculinity don't have to prove itself to nobody. It does what it's designed to just do. Just like this Nike sign, just do it. That's what masculinity does. It doesn't have to be told, programmed. It's a natural thing. It's a natural influence of a man. But to have a man to become masculine, he has to have a sense of responsibility. But when mama is sheltering the son from feeling any discomfort or pain or anything that makes him feel, that stretches his flesh to make him grow up, she protects him from masculinity while at the same time she's becoming more emasculated herself. And when a man offers to step in and help and you say, I can take care of myself, that's called self-masculation. You don't want no man to take care of you. Look what we see in our home, look what we see in our homes, in our churches and communities right now. And we don't want to say nothing. This father takes his son to a prom dressed as a woman. And guess who's on the comments congratulating this boy and father? Women. You know why that happened? Because I guarantee that boy was raised by a bunch of women. And in his family, women are more revered. It's deeper than just sex. It's the image of what looks like authority. And these kids grow up with these lopsided views of what healthy authority looks like. When Beyonce came out with that song, Who Rule the World? And this same attitude crept into the church, telling our women, we got secular women, ungodly women giving wisdom, trying to teach our women in church how marriage should look like. This Jezebel been divorced and remarried so many times, she done forgot how many times she's been married. These are the sort that creeping into your houses, sisters. Silly women laden with sin. We don't want to talk about this. Ain't no man gonna tell me. You sisters out here that are Christian feminists, and your kids can only listen to you, and anything that he listens to, handing him books that are written by women, listening to pastors that are women. Everything that he hears that's only giving him impartation is women. And he's effeminate and soft. His spirit is small. He can't take no hits and go. He can't handle rejection. Somebody gotta always coddle your son. He cusses and flies off like his mama when pressure comes to his life. No sense of responsibility. Lack of masculinity aborted in the home, in the church, in society. And what do we got now? You got them trying to teach your kids about sexuality, 2 men and 2 women in your schools, ladies. Who took prayer out of schools? It was a woman that moved to take prayer out of schools. And these boys grow up illogical logic thinkers, don't know how to process cognitive thought, can't problem solve through any problems. These boys are worse. These boys are little killers. Those cats you see up in Detroit and Chicago will kill you if you look at them wrong. Who you think's raising these boys? Little P Dog and G Killer. Who you think is raising these boys? Lack of masculinity teaches you how to problem solve through your emotion. How to be stable through pain. How to be consistent and stable through adversity. Masculinity survives the terrains of life without always getting in somebody's face. Masculinity knows how to wield and deactivate emotions. To think about what the outcome's going to be first before I make a decision to do something stupid. Masculinity says I need to problem solve this out and see what's going to be the collateral damage of my choices. But when you sit around here and everything is emotionally driven in the home, and the biggest problem with us as men, some of us men, is we don't know how to speak up. We either do that or we talk too much and don't know how to shut up because we start acting like women. We talk like women. We can't think like some women. We don't have cognitive thought. We just can, and we're allowed to say things because see, when we see women being able to do more dirt and say whatever they want without no consequences, we think that's where the authority is. I can say what I want if I act like my mom. And it's funny when men speak up and speak strong and stand on their business. He's prideful, but when women do it, she's a hero. She's Wonder Woman. She's Xena, the warrior princess. She's revered. But when men stand up and be strong, he's prideful and controlling. And these sign language, shame language that we have for the men that are standing on business, that are masculine, strong men. And now you got these metrosexual Baphomet preachers that are pandering to these effeminate, emotional, and broken women so they can feel like they have a place to relate to their pain, but they never get healed. You got all these women in these churches that are only relating to each other's pain, but they ain't never getting healed. Look at how these boys move around. Quitting in jobs, quitting and getting fired off of jobs. Moving in back looking for women to move into their house. These men that y'all ladies complain about, who's raising these men? That's who teaching these boys to not have to take responsibility for their behavior? Who's always stepping in, saving these boys from their consequences? Who's bailing them out of jail when they get in trouble? I'll wait. You being too hard on little Timmy. Time to cook. When these kids are growing up in the house and mama's not protecting them, she letting everything in because she let everything into her life. She gonna let everything into her kids' life. That's where these pedophiles, rapers, these guys sneaking in the bedroom, raping these kids, having the precious story, that's where it come from. Because who's got full custody of these kids most of the time? It's not the fathers, it's mama. Because there's no masculine allowance allowed in the home. She ain't gonna let no man come in there and tell her what to do with her kids. And then because these are the sorts that creepeth into the houses of silly women, we let everything creep into the house. I got women in my family up in their 60s and late 70s, early 70s, can't find a relationship because they needed to, they thought independence was the thing. I can take care of myself. I don't need no. And these kids are growing up with all these medical terms now, ADHD and autism and all this depression. How come all this is happening and it's always coming out of single parent homes? It's a study done on this. Lack of discipline on these boys. You see all these boys sitting around arguing like women, fighting and getting in your face like women, jump out every little thing. End up killed and in the box at the funeral because he didn't think before he ran his mouth. Nobody taught him that you can't just jump in everybody's face and get crazy. You haven't allowed them to suffer consequences for their behavior. You sheltered them from consequences because society sheltered you from yours. I know you sisters aren't gonna like this. There's an onslaught attack on masculine expression in church, out of church, in society, everywhere. In the school, in the government. And now at any time you hear a man speak strong, he's aggressive, he's abusive. You still want him to be traditionally taking and providing. You Negroes that are up here, you podcast pimps that are telling the men they better take care of everything and pay all the bills. What you saying to these women out here? They're the ones that got the children. They are double minority. They got all the power and influence. What are you telling them? You're a queen. You're a boss. You deserve. And you're appealing to their pain and their delinquency of what they didn't get as children and little girls. And little girls are looking for their affirmation from a father. That's why you men are making money off of these women in church and on these podcasts and platforms. You're preying on their deficiencies. And you got all these women unmarried, uncovered, unhusband, and don't have they just having sex. This is what we got today. God has a set order in his church. Your pastor don't get to rewrite the order. Society don't get to rewrite God's order. He's the creator of all things. Your movement and how you feel about men being in control, but you want them in control financially, but you don't want him to tell you what you shouldn't do. That comes from how you were raised at home with your mom. Everything starts at home. You don't trust your father, you don't trust a man. Man ain't gonna tell me because my daddy can't tell me. Y'all don't respect your fathers or men at home, you ain't gonna respect any man. You still supposed to take care of me and provide, but I ain't gotta listen to you. You still need to pay these bills, but I don't have to listen to you. So this is what's been happening. Without, I'm doing my, that's all right. So that's what's been happening in this society now, is that we don't understand the detrimental cause of why this stuff is happening. We don't understand why things are just going wrong. Those were just my two kids right there, my son and my daughter. You see, without fathers and healthy masculine expression in the home, we gonna see what we got right now. And this is not a shot at the women or going after the women, but it's funny how I don't like it when listen, I'm gonna say this boldly, ain't no lesbian, transgender, homosexual, feminist can tell men how to be men but God, and men that are being men. Other than that, you're not qualified to tell men what they need to do. You're not qualified to instruct us on how we need to move in this society that's benefiting you. And some of you effeminate boys trying to tell men how they need to be because you found an ear hustle to get women to come on your platform, and you know how to relate to their deficiencies and pain, and they know they feel a place that they have a relation through their pain and uncertainty. You found a way to tap into that market. That don't mean you're teaching anything, bro. And sooner than later, it's gonna catch up with you. You false prophets out here that are telling women what they want to hear, that they don't need a man, they don't need a man. Well, look at their lives, look at their kids. Yeah, they need a man. They don't need any man, but they need a man. And some of you man boys need fathers. You need to go back to some elders and learn. Anytime a man is trying to appeal to women's emotions, he's effeminate. When men tell women what they want to hear, he's effeminate. He's effeminate. He's not a man. He's not a man. Men tell the truth. Men are real. We deal with reality and logic. We don't deal in emotionalism, in fantasy. We don't deal with that. And this is why a lot of strong men don't want to come to church, because we don't hear strong men speak strong in church no more. You got these man boys, these effeminate man boys. These Baphomet messengers. These effeminate frequency speakers. Tapping into women's deficiencies and her pain and and what she didn't get, relating to her pain and not her solution. Fathers and men bring solution to a problem. Now, they don't just relate to it. This is what Satan is trying to attack masculinity like nobody's business. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you. Thank you for listening.